and I'm already 10 minutes behind, but I was waiting for Pastor Lucky, who just arrived here, because he's going to start us off with a prayer, and I tell you, that's what I've been doing every day since the August 8th, and thanking God that I'm still here anyway. So, Pastor Lucky, take it away.
What it says that this is the place for which you have longed to be, but now that you have come, love has come with you. If you agree that you want to be blessed, grab the person hand next to you. For as it is written, if there be two of you on earth and agreement is touching the same thing, it shall be done. Ako ko mai kai o ke apua, a me ka lawi. Ua no ka uhan he molele me ka ako apau. E ko mako maku ilo ko kalani. E kua lui a koino. E ki mai ko a puni. E malama ia ko maki e mako nua nei. E wiki mei ia. E malama ia. Makalani la. Hallelujah, Lord, ke apua me ke Yesu Christi. May the Lord God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord God lift up his countenance upon all of you and give you peace, prosperity, and pleasure of what he chose for you to be. The vessel to fill his love in you, to love him, and those that love you too. With that said, hallelujah, Lord. Thank you, Lord, in the love. God bless. So, you know what this means, right? Orla tourist day means shaka, hand loose. I said, that's for you tourists. It means aloha. Everybody repeat after me. Aloha means always. Always. Love. Over. Always. No more Hawaii. No more aloha. No more keapua. No more love. God bless. Amaria.
Give Pastor Lucky a hand. Thank you so much. He's such an inspiration. I always love over hate. You know, I've been traveling a lot since the fires with Rotary and with Rick. We call it the Rick and Joe show from Lahaina since the fires. And that when we tell them what aloha means, always love over hate, always, it resonates. Everybody just connects with that. And I just hope all of us here tonight can just tune into that and keep that our focus. Love has always been the answer. Songs have always told you that. The Bible tells you that. Everybody knows that. So, okay, now that we know the answer, let's do it. Let's just keep it always there, right? And I want to thank you all today for coming here tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces here. I know there's a lot of us that this is inconvenient, and we're convening with Monday Night Football, which is, that's a big draw. And we've had so many meetings. Everybody's been going to meetings and more meetings and more meetings, you know. So those of you who took the time to come today, we thank you very much for coming. And we're going to thank Akaku for making special arrangements with us, giving us a consideration to be able to live telecast this to the Akaku audience, so all the people can tune in. I think it's channel 53, 54. Is that correct? Or live stream and see us right now. And because there's just not every, I've got my glasses right here. They are. Okay. For those of you who lost your home or your business or loved ones in the fire, please let me know. I lost my home and my business. I know the pain. Rick's lost his home. A lot of you, if you lost your home, raise your hand. God bless you. You know, a lot of people have left, and there's a lot of people still in despair and in shocks, and who knows when we're going to get over all this. But I do know that there's a resilience here and the love for Maui that is so strong, and with that spirit of aloha and that resilience, there's the commitments that you're seeing and miracles that you're seeing of people coming together, and we're all closer now. We're all survivors of the Titanic, to say, you know, in one way or another, you know, we're connected more than we've ever been connected. There's more and more reasons for us to be working together in public-private partnerships, like the West Maui taxpayers is all about. Yeah, those of you know, I started the West Maui taxpayers 46 years ago. Oh my God. Wow. It's a scary thing, but it's a wonderful thing because in that process of time, I've come to know so many incredible people, and both in the community as well as in our elected officials and people in service organizations like us. We're a volunteer organization. Our board members don't get paid. We strictly work, and we're not funded by the county or state or anybody. We just on donations from individuals, private donations. That's how we exist. And we've been doing that for the last 46 years. And there's so many things we've accomplished, miraculous things. And I want you to know the fact that we're here today is a miracle. Think about it, how close we came to that. You know, it's just amazing. I've got a cane now. I've taken 8 meds for my heart after I had to jump out my window to save my life with just a few seconds to do that. I contracted shock and heart failure, and I'm taking all these medications to keep me alive. It's no fun, but I'm still here, and you are, and you know. For those in the Akaku audience who are watching us live stream on TV, I want to call everybody who's here's attention to the program. If you haven't got a program like this, please get one, because we're going to follow a script here as best we can. I think we're behind a little bit. We're behind a little bit, but I'm going to read one thing to the benefit of the Akaku audience and those who are live streaming. This year we're doing something different. We're having the WMTA annual meeting followed by our general candidates night. Initially, we are not going to have a general candidates night. However, the board of directors agreed on the importance of this election year. The Lionel wildfire has changed everything. We feel the ardent desire to reprioritize health and safety improvements, emergency preparedness, as well as homelessness and mental health assistance. We believe our crisis issues should be our primary focus. West Maui is a unique and vibrant community that provides employment opportunities and generates a significant tax revenues for all levels of government. WMTA is also unique in that our mission is to promote efficient use of these taxes generated to invest in infrastructure, services, and amenities that help ensure that West Maui remains one of the best places to live, work, and visit in the world. Once again, our West Maui community has come together with aloha for improved health and safety for our community in Ahanaho. With the financial support of the people of Maui and other companies who want to help rebuild a safe West Maui, the Olawalo Fire Station will soon be a reality. I had so much fun last week. I wrote the deposit check, $697,000 sent out to the modular fire station coming as a deposit and put in the mail to Canada. What a wonderful feeling that was. There's no question about the importance of public-private partnerships when it comes to improving communities, and the West Maui Taxpayers Association embodies this type of partnership to help improve Lahaina's future. It's been said that our dreams become reality when we engage and build partnerships that can change the world. And that's precisely what West Maui taxpayers and the West Maui Improvement Foundation are all about. We have already done what was said to be impossible, and we are still on the same path with our Olawala Fire Station and much more. Please join us and be a part of the solution. Thank you. So I wanted that message to go out to everybody. And you know, being of service for this long, as I said, the benefits have been enormous. One of the things is to get closer with people and elected officials. And we've been holding these candidates night for almost most of all, every time for election years for the last 46 years. Not many opportunities for people to gather together in one spot and to get some Akaku film coverage, which we've always endeavored to do, because we know everybody can't show up, so we try to. The technology is so nice now, right? We can live stream. Years ago, you couldn't live stream, right? You had a tape record and then wait for it to get processed and back to you, and then put for a replay. But this is live stream, so this is the highest tech we got nowadays. Things are getting more and more advanced, and I urge you to continue to support Akaku, what they do for helping the community and the people of Maui get good information about our council meetings, about our government, about issues of importance, and they need your support as well. So where am I at in my schedule here, timing-wise? I apologize that we're, I don't know how far behind we are, but the mayor's remarks. The mayor at the last minute had to go, was called away, so Josiah, are you here? Josiah, would you please come to the, I'm here. Managing Director, Josiah Nishida.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Oh, you didn't have to stand up. Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you. Mayor apologizes for being unable to be here today, and I'm sorry you get the B team with me here tonight. But we did want to, Mayor did ask me to just share real briefly, not to hold anybody up, but just for a few minutes regarding the Olowalu Fire Station. Real big appreciation to Joe and all the other individuals that have been involved over time. We do look forward to this as a great partnership between private entities and government, county government, and hopefully it can be a model that's used for other future types of improvements. The county is committed to helping to see this through. Our fire department and our Department of Planning are working diligently with some consultants and others that West Maui Improvement Foundation has brought on to help make this a reality. And I know many of you probably have been involved over the years, so we express our appreciation for that too. I believe it's a mini brush truck has been ordered for the facility already, and it takes about 3 years for it to be made. So that's in process right now, and we will be seeking approval for initially for a 2-man crew out at the site, and then the facility is designed to be able to accommodate a 5-man crew, so we'll be able to expand over time. But we really appreciate the community support, the private fundraising and other activities that had taken place. This really wouldn't have been possible without the community and our past and present elected officials and others who have contributed so much to this and helped see this vision to reality. And so we're really excited for this to come to fruition one day, and we'll help see it through. So appreciate everybody's time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Josiah. for those of you who had the meet and greet opportunity outside, as we're going through this thing, don't rush off because the council members, I'm sure would be love to talk to you some more after the meeting with their respective tables out there. So thank you. We have a batting order here. Michelle Kane, I always want to say Connie, I'm sorry. It's spelled the same way. Her husband are here, and Michelle's on our board, and she's going to be our timekeeper. Rick Nava, who was on our board for many years, is said, you know, Joe, I'm so committed to this thing, I'm going to be doing this more, and would the board consider me resigning from that and become an executive director instead? And you talk about a dream come true. You know, so Rick is our new executive director. Rick, please come stand up. Let everybody see Rick Nava. Couldn't be happier that we have somebody with his qualifications and desire and willingness to serve our community. Rick and I have been working together very closely, so normally when you have to hire somebody to be a position, there's a learning curve and all this time and everything else. Well, he's hit the ground running, full speed ahead. So right, Rick, so we're hitting the ground. So as Sergeant at Arms today and Executive Director, he's going to make sure that our candidates are going to be ready. We're going to have the first two come up here. I'm going to do the county council, then Rick's going to do questions for our state representatives later on, so we're going to share duties. Timekeeper, Michelle Conde, Sergeant at Arms, Rick Nava. Rick, so you make sure the lineup is like that. We have Gabe and Johnson and Shane Cienci here. Gabe, are you and Shane here tonight? Now, I got a word from Shane. We sent out a questionnaire to all the candidates and asked them to fill that out and return it. And for the first time in a long time, we're going to be making endorsements from the West Maui taxpayers for candidates, which is it takes a lot of commitment and nerve to do that. You know, everybody's because our goal has always been just inform people, just give them information, you know. But you know, our health and safety priorities are so strong to us today. This is a Hanaho, the Olawalo Fire Station. We did the Napili Fire Station ourselves, and it's never been done in the entire state of Hawaii where some private group built its own fire station and ambulance station and gave it as a gift to the county, but we did that. And only because we have that successful history, I think, is why we've made such success this second time here on a Hanaho. It's not our first fire station. This will be our second one. And that's the commitment we've got to health and safety. And we've raised $3.2 million, hallelujah, of private funds, not one taxpayer dollar, like we've done so many things. We did that in Napili, and we've saved the lives. And that Napili Fire and Ambulance Station has literally saved people's lives. How much money is that worth? You know, it's priceless. And that's how we know what's going to happen at Olawalo, too. So you're all involved. I get emotional about this. In a miracle. You're all part of a miracle. Isn't that cool that you can be a part of a miracle? Where a community can do this kind of stuff and save people's lives, and you can say you were a part of that, and you participated in that, and you were instrumental in that, because there's nobody unimportant in this whole process. Every person is important, and their support is important. So the way this is going to work, we have our two candidates first. That's going to Gabe and Shane. Again, I apologize for them. I guess they sent their questionnaires in, but that's it. They can make it. It's tough again to get people with all the commitments and things they have to do. From Molokai, we have Keani Rollins and John Pelly. Are they here? Okay, would you please come up? I have the hot seat over here. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Thank you. So nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Please have a seat over here. Okay. So what we've done, we sent some questions out to them, or just general topics and ideas. I have specific questions here for you both. And let's start with ladies first, right? So, Kiani, if you would say, please, number one, please explain your position of the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson, which is proposing to eliminate short-term rentals.
Mahalo for that question. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, I can hear myself too. All right. So that legislation wouldn't eliminate all short-term rentals. It's a zoning issue. It would phase out short-term rentals in the apartment district, so A1, A2 zoning, which is about half of the short-term rentals in Maui County. The other half is on hotel resort zone. So those would remain. I support the mayor's bill to correct this zoning issue that's been around since the 70s, 80s. And for those wishing to remain a transient accommodation complex, there is a process. There's always been a process for the complex to seek continuation of a transient accommodation activity, and that would be through a change in zoning. So the change in zoning would go through the planning commissions and then would come to the council for a final decision. And at that point in time, together we would make a determination on whether the location of the complex is compatible with the area and is supported to continue that activity. As we know, the units once did house long-term residents, whether it was owner-occupied or long-term rental use. We are in a severe housing shortage, and correcting the housing system, this would just be one step in correcting our overall housing system, and there would be other approaches and other legislative proposals set forth that we would consider in continuing to ensure that our community remains a community of those that contribute, know each other, live together, work together as a community we would like. Mahalo.
Awesome. Thank you. John, same question to you. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, no. I'm good, I think. My understanding, when the mayor introduced this legislation, he stated that it was to create much-needed housing, which we all know we need housing. I do have reservations as if the legislation as written will achieve that. I'm concerned with some of the cost. I'm concerned with some of the litigation that I hear might be coming along with this bill and this legislation and the unilateral application. I want to create housing. I just don't know if this legislation is going to get us there, because that's what it was written for, right? It was written to create housing. I was a condominium manager for 14 years. I understand how expensive it is to be living in a condo, how expensive maintenance fees are, how expensive reserve budgets are, special assessments are, and I'm just wondering if this legislation will achieve the housing that it's supposed to achieve. I think an amortization period of 5 years would have been a better determination to get this legislation a little bit more body, so people would have a chance to plan, and you could defend yourself against the lawsuits that, like I said, I've been told directly from the owners of these condos they will be filing. And I think that'll extend this legislation who knows how long, and it won't create the housing that it is intended to do. And that's my biggest worry. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next question, County. The entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by the committed property owners there, not one payer dollar of taxpayer dollars. Please let us know if you support this policy, and if you do not support this policy, why? If you support this policy, how will you support it?
Mahalo for that question. Okay, so I'm sure you all know it's not black and white. Everything has nuance. So the tea grinds that have been proposed, and you're talking about the tea grinds, right? The tea grinds, beach replenishment tea grinds. So the jurisdiction of the high water mark to the ocean is not under the county. It's under the jurisdiction of DLNR, and that's state. While the construction of it may be paid for by the CFD, the Community Facilities District, the maintenance, staffing, continuation of the repairs, all of that would be covered by taxpayers. We currently don't have any kind of staffing or a division that manages tea grinds. The county manages roads, wastewater, landfills, water systems, not facilities out in the ocean. And so when the CFD policy was developed, the intention was for it to be consistent with the services that the county currently provides, and not developing a whole new division to take care of the management of one area of tea grinds. So I understand the intention of beach replenishment. I think my support is for Malka Retreat, and for us to have negotiations and discussions on retreating from the shoreline, because even tea grinds would have an expiration. It wouldn't be in perpetuity. It would just be kicking the can down the road. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. John, you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, CFD, I've been trying to read them, and I think it was 2018, right, that the county took this up and took a look at it. And very interesting to read up in, and I'm not an expert by any means, and I have a long way to go on this subject. But it looks like it could be a win-win, and it's a big step when personal property owners want to put in $40 million. And when we do talk about taxpayers, yes, they will have to take on some of the burden, but we also got to realize that people who own these units are taxpayers. So we got to kind of think this process through. And I'm no way an expert, and I do have reservations if it's just temporary, you know, as was stated, kicking the can down the road, and how much effect it will have on other parts of the island. When, you know, I do believe that if you change the landscape of our environment, it can have repercussions. But again, I would need to sit down and be given the presentation. I've tried to read the information. It's quite a lot that you guys have with, online, and I just need to understand a little bit more about it. And I'm open to having conversations, definitely to have conversations, because I do think we have to keep the property owners in mind, and you know, do whatever we can do to help them out.
Thank you so much. County, last question. The people of Molokai they're in desperate need of transportation support to travel outside of Molokai. What are your plans to help make it easier for the people of Molokai to travel to visit relatives, for business, as well as supporting events for the youths in Molokai?
The billion-dollar question for Molokai. Yes. Okay, so transportation on and off the island. For folks who don't know, pre-pandemic, we had 3 airlines. Post-pandemic, we're down to 1 airline, Mokulele, that isn't very reliable and charges you arm, leg, and firstborn child. So one of the things that the council and the administration has been working on is exploring the idea of having a county-run ferry. And that would be some time out, at least 3-ish years. The expedition ferry, which services between Lanai and Maui, it's looking to sell, and so that's how the idea came to be. And so in looking at acquiring the ferry between Lanai and Maui, we expanded the feasibility study to include Molokai. And so the feasibility study would explore the cost, the routes, the services, the size of the ferry, etc. If the community even supports a ferry coming to the island again, and where it would stop on Maui. It looks like we'll have the survey results come October, and then a proposal come February for inclusion into the budget FY26. It's also something that's been included in the proposed CDBG DR budget, which is $1.6 billion in the assistance of helping Maui's recovery. The other thing that I'm supportive of is our community exploring opening its own community-run airlines. There is some interest in that. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. John, do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you very much. I don't think I could say anything else on the subject. Airlines, we do have a very, very limited airlines. Myself, I commute to Maui on a weekly basis to work, as does Councilwoman Rollins Fernandez, so it is a very costly expenditure, and it's not a reliable expenditure. I'm glad I got to make it to this meeting tonight, because I thought maybe I wouldn't. But the ferry system, I believe strongly in that. Last year in the budget meeting, I actually testified as a member of the community on exploring the ferry system. And Councilmember Johnson at that time repeated that he's looking at a survey, and he's followed through on it. And I'm really glad to see that. And the people of Molokai are glad to see that. We desperately need it. We really want to save our airlines so our kupuna and our keiki can travel when they need medical services. The people who can ride them, it's not an easy ride. That ferry is not an easy ride from Molokai. But what we can do is the people who can ride that ferry should be riding that ferry like it was. And not only our community, we have to decide if that's what we want. We got to be respectful of the Maui community also. Do you guys want to, how do you guys feel about a ferry system? I would love to hear the input of the Maui. Obviously we would probably be docking somewhere on the west side. So we'd like to know how you guys feel about it too. So I think that has to play into the aspect. But we definitely, desperately need a mode of transportation. And I think a ferry system could solve that need. It had in the past, right?
Thank you very much. I used to have a house on Molokai in Manila Camps, and I took the ferry there all the time. I miss it so much. Okay, well, thank you. Give them a big round of applause, and thank you so much, both of you, for willingness to serve. Oh, 2 minutes of response, yes. All right. Well, we can go over it a little bit. So who's next? Yukile and Jocelyn Cruz. Yukile Sugimura and Jocelyn Cruz, please come up. Oh, okay. Zeke, let me just say, this is my son, Zeke. God, I'm so proud of him. Zeke Kalua. He was a little boy when I first got a hold of him, and now he's a big boy. And he's been helping the mayor, and he just reminded me the best thing to do is to say the mayor's budget meeting for West Maui is going to be here, right, Zeke, on the 15th of October? Right here. Please, if you can, try to make plans to be here for that budget meeting. Thank you. So, Yukile and Jocelyn, are you ready? Yes. Okay, I'm going to, the question, and Yukile, and you want Jocelyn, she's the guest, right, so let her go first. Number one, please explain your position on the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating short-term rentals.
Yes, so I will probably be echoing a lot of what Councilmember Kiani has said. I agree that we need to look at the zoning and correct some or a lot of that. I also do have friends, particularly on the North Shore, that live on island, obviously, and they own some STRs. So I don't think that it's a complete long-term strategy for more affordable housing. So I agree with Kiani in that it's a step in the right direction, but not the complete answer to the problem. Another thing I think we need to focus on is how we're allocating water so that we can get more water towards affordable housing, because I think that is the underlying issue of all of this, is providing more housing that's affordable for people. And I also think that we need to start here on the west side and make sure that we provide the affordable housing for people here who need it first, because a lot of these STRs are on the south side of Maui, and I don't know how many residents from West Maui necessarily want to move into those homes, nor is it necessarily affordable to them. So that's my take. I support looking more into the zoning of these houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Yukila, you want me to repeat the question?
No.
No.
Can you hear me? Is this on? So everybody, every forum, this is the number one question. It is a bill that was proposed by the mayor, and what he's saying is that he's expressing the frustrations to me of people in the community who live in the neighborhoods that maybe have been bothered by the short-term vacation rentals, who are people who are visiting your neighbors, your neighborhood, and maybe not as responsible as you would like with noise and parking and different issues, right? So the mayor expressed that frustration, as well as what we saw because of the August 8th wildfire. The shortages of housing was also there pre-fire, and now post-fire it got worse, right? Because 98% of the people impacted by the fire, 98% were renters. And those are the people that we immediately took them out of the gyms or wherever it was for the emergency shelter, and put them into hotels and trying to get them housed. So this is an answer as a solution, but it's one. There are many more things that we need to do as a council, and there are 7,100 short-term vacation rentals that would be impacted by A1, A2's apartment zones, and we need to know what they were built for. Do they have parking? Do they have kitchens? Whatever their facility was, and look at it on a comprehensive basis to see if it can solve our problem. It is one solution, and we need more to solve our housing problem. But so on that bill, we will take a position on it. It was heard by the planning commissions, and it came to the council. We are getting a study done so we can get the details, the facts that the bill does not provide or was not taken into consideration before, and my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Yukila. Second question. The entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy, which will permit the beach restoration and be paid solely by the committed property owners there. No other taxpayer dollars. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support this policy, how will you support it?
You want me to go first?
All right, Yuki, you want to start first?
So the CFD, Community Facilities District bill, was a bill that I put together when I was in my second term. And I heard the cry of the Kahana community. And so therefore the CFD was developed, and it still needs work done to it, so it's not done. But just kind of in short, what the bill does, or what the bill does for the county, is that residents can request for their community as a whole, which the Kahana community did request for. I think there's like 9 properties that are 9 condos that are impacted, and there's one resident whose swimming pool is sticking out into on the beach. I mean, it's pretty sad. But what the Kahana Village is asking the county to do, and kind of in summary, is that for us to take this on as a county, we need to get the state DLNR to approve, because everything from the high water mark down is a state kuleana, and everything up is ours, right? So some of the solutions would be, if you're going to do managed retreat, which asks all of them to move to higher ground. But what the CFD does is basically, the caution that we have as a county is that if we take this on as a project, we accept the responsibilities for forever maintenance. If DLNR will allow us, that's number one challenge. Number two is, then I know that Kahana said that they'll pay to put in whatever the restoration would be, whether it's T-groins or what, or whatever. But once it's installed, it then becomes the responsibility of you, the taxpayers, to maintain it. And that's the caution, because there's so much unknown about this that we don't know as a county, as well as we don't understand, even as you see everything going on with Honolulu, of homes being impacted. There's so many properties that are in danger. But this is just one mechanism that could be, if we accept that responsibility. And again, it's taxpayer dollars that's going to be finally impacted. Thank you.
Thank you. You want me to repeat the question?
It's okay, thank you. The fact that it would eventually come down to taxpayer dollars in the end, I don't really think that we're in a position at this point to assume that responsibility. Like Kiani said, I think it is kind of like kicking the can down the road, and there's so many other things infrastructure-wise that we need to focus on. Like, we need to focus on the bypass and make sure that we get that done before we assume any responsibility for anything else. And I understand that there are people who are willing to come out of pocket, and my view on that is kind of like, as long as it goes through the proper environmental checks and cultural checks, and that all passes in a way, I can kind of see how that would be those people's prerogative. But if the county is going to end up assuming responsibility for that, I just think we have so many more things that we have to focus on, and it probably behooves those people who are willing to invest in it to consider moving to higher ground anyway, because it's not a permanent solution. So it's also considering your investments a little more wisely, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And question number 3. Water is a big issue in rebuilding Lahaina. Please provide us solutions to this challenge so we can move forward with more housing, not only in Lahaina, but throughout Maui County. Jocelyn, you want to take this one first?
Sure. So with water, definitely backing the R1 facility and cultivating that a lot more. And then another thing I think is really important on this side of the island and also the south side is how we're using, like, particularly hotels, what they're planting at their hotels. A lot of it's a water waster. So I think we should really be considering how we're landscaping these things. Also, I am in favor of raising tax water rates for the hotels, because it's either A, going to incentivize them to use less, which is kind of ideal, or if they don't use less, then that's more money for the county that we can allocate to affordable housing, towards farming. I think farming is a huge thing that we need to focus on for the entire island, and particularly here. I'm really into the idea of restoring moku'ula. I'm a project manager for a farm, so anything that creates more sovereignty for us and less dependence is a win, in my opinion. So I think raising water tax rates for hotels looking at how we're landscaping and really leaning into the R1 processing facility would behoove us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yukile, you want me to repeat the question?
No, so I'm fine. Water, as you know, is our biggest problem, not only in West Maui, but the whole island. And water is controlled by the state DLNR and CWRM, and they decide, they have the final say as to the jurisdiction of the water. There's some changes going on with DLNR with the recent meetings that happened last week that I need to do research on, so I'm really not prepared to talk about that, but I do have meetings this week just to learn more about it so that I can be better prepared. What we really need to do is, I feel, we need a wastewater, a master plan so that we can understand where the water needs are and from a state level, so that CWRM can then help us. I also have been asking for an emergency proclamation, which I think 60 days is too short, but somehow we need to get a bigger decision made about water in West Maui so that we can build the houses, we can build the school, we can build, especially for the many residents who are without shelter, would be without shelter, and we're trying to make sure that they do, and these, and to get the long-term housing, residents back into their properties, as well as to protect the residents. But we need water, and so I have been advocating at the legislature to see if there's a way that we can get a West Maui, and I'm really thinking about upcountry also, because we had water, we had a fire there, but to get a master plan going so that we can work with CWRM instead of us begging them, and they have the final say, but bring them into the solution. So that's my long-term goal and what I'm trying to look towards for the next legislative session.
Thank you so much, Yukile. Please give them both a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Mr. Nava, who's lined up next? Thank you so much, Yukile. Thank you so much. We got Nohi Hodgins and Nara Boone. Wow, there you go, Nara. Nohi, you're not here? She's not here. No. Okay. Well, you have an opportunity without a challenger here. So please, oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Aloha.
Well, number one, please explain your position on the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson limiting short-term rentals.
Okay, so this bill, the ban, I know that you've heard from several people already on the fact that it's not taking anyone's property. I think that is a key point, that with the idea that it controls how people can use their property, it doesn't sit well, but the property still remains in your hands. Something else that I'm not sure I heard anyone else bring up is that there is a possibility to apply to change the permitting of the dwelling to become like an Airbnb. We do have limits on Airbnbs. Different towns have a certain capacity. None of them are up to capacity at this point. So I would recommend for people that wanted to keep some other kind of vacation rental type situation happening, that is one possibility that can happen for people. I personally am in support of the bill, not as a whole blanket thing. If any of you remember that I ran last campaign, and part of my platform was that I believe that we should not have short-term rentals within 1 mile of school zones. And for me, that's a big one right now, and has been for this whole school year, because I'm sure you know, there's been a drastic shortage of school bus drivers, and our communities should be able to live close enough to get their kids to school with walking. So I have some sisters that have vacation rentals on 3 sides of their their house. That takes away from the sense of community in the cul-de-sac where they live. They have to put up cones so that the tourists know to slow down because children are driving. They're partying and doing other things at all hours in the jacuzzis, on the balconies, that kind of thing. So I am absolutely in support of controlling to some degree the happenings with short-term rentals.
Thank you. Thank you. Question number 2. The entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay. By adopting a community facilities district policy which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by committed property owners there. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support it, how will you support it?
I would rather see people save their money and put it towards building away from the shoreline. The reality of the situation is that climate change is real. I live on the North Shore. I grew up on the beach, Baldwin Beach, Ho'okipa, Spreckelsville. All of those places have changed really drastically to the point where the pavilion at Baldwin Beach was removed last week. That is where I grew up. That is where they used to have a lifeguard stand and tropical almond trees and a huge beach, and the reef was pretty close because the sand went out that far. There was a monument, there were swings. Both of my parents' services when they passed were in that pavilion. And I was in the parking lot watching the waves come up the other day. So even if managed retreat happens, you're going to have oceanfront property at some point soon. And that's a horrible reality, but that is the reality. And I would rather see people spend their money on the wiser choice of rebuilding away from the shoreline. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, as we continue to discuss diversifying our economy, our visitor industry and small businesses continue to suffer as we try to recover from COVID and now the wildfires in Lahaina and Kula. Front Street provides employment and millions of dollars to our economy, yet we do not see any movement or financial support being given to the small businesses that were on Front Street. What are your plans to support the small businesses for Front Street?
So I used to live on Front Street, and I'm a performer, and I've been performing on Front Street for the majority of my life, since I was 13, 14 years old. I was a lead singer in the show Ula Lena in the Maui Theater that actually still stands right now, incredibly. I know that there needs to be more support. I think that, once again, we need to be mindful of nature and what nature decides to do, and at the same time, we need to get people help. So I think we need to get creative, and I am open to hearing other people's solutions on this. My focus, I am co-founder of the Maui Housing Hui, and my focus has been on advocating for renters' rights and educating people on their rights since the fires especially, but I started back in late 2022 when I was searching desperately for a place to live. We need to somehow figure out a way to tackle every aspect of what's going on here. I know that none of us were expecting this, and it is a horrible thing to recover from, and I feel for everyone that is suffering. But I think we need to be mindful that the extractive behavior that caused this fire can't be repeated. So we need to do things differently to make it better for everyone. I'm worried about people's insurance rates that are skyrocketing right now. I'm worried about the rents that are astronomical. I'm getting emails every single day from people that are saying they have to leave the island. So I know that it's hard, and I ask people to hang in there. And I'm sincerely open to anyone's recommendations and suggestions on how to make things better for everyone.
Thank you very much. Give her a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have, Rick, who we got next? South Maui. Thank you so much. South Maui. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay, South Maui. Tom Cook and Kelly King. Thank you for coming. Tom, it'd be all right. We're going to start Kelly first. Okay. Kelly, please explain your position on the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson on eliminating short-term rentals.
Thank you for that question again. And I don't see this bill as viable the way it's written. I think that for us to blanketly getting rid of short-term rentals is not really an option, because the alternative to that is building more hotels, and I don't want to see more hotels built. I think what we need is a TIG, a temporary investigative group, to study the issue. I know the council funded a study to see what the effects would be monetarily. We know what the effects are going to be, because we know what the tax rate is, we know what the TAT is, we know what we'd be losing if we got rid of all of our short-term rentals. I would support rezoning some of those buildings, but I think we need to look at these properties to see if they are appropriate, if they are affordable for local families. A lot of them are not. You're shaking your head because you know that. They have high HOA fees. The insurance rates have gone through the sky. In South Maui, we have a lot of repairs that are needed especially along the coastline for those condos. There's literally some of the piping is falling apart, and I wouldn't want to put that on residents to have to do those repairs. I think we can go through and find some of the appropriate buildings that may be amenable to selling, and I would like to see the county buy them. And if they need fixing up, the county should put money into them so that we don't put that, and keep them affordable, because a lot of these are not going to be affordable. But I don't have a problem with rezoning to hotel. I just think that it really pained me to hear when this was announced that while it was being announced, we also heard I'm probably going to get sued. I don't want to see that lawsuits. I think it's a waste of time and money. So I think we need to put a lot more thought into it before we pass a bill like that, and try to figure out how many of those units we really need. Because the total between South Maui and West Maui is 7,000, and I don't think there's 7,000 local families we can move into these units. So, the figure I've heard is more like 500. So anyway, it needs a lot of work, and I'm willing to do that work, and I think we need to bring in all the parties who were not part of this decision originally. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Tom, you want me to repeat the question, Tom, or you got it?
Testing. Is this working? Okay. Hello, everybody. The mayor's bill, my understanding is the intent is to basically free up visitor housing for permanent housing for local residents. I think that it lacks detail, and it's causing havoc in my district in South Maui. Just the fear of an indecision is impacting our visitor industry very negatively, and businesses, restaurants, everybody. My solution and my thought is there's 500 to 1,000 is what I understand talking to people of illegal short-term rentals in the condominiums and in apartment district, focusing on those first, identifying the ones that were conditions when the hotels were done, conditions that were placed on them for workforce housing, identifying those. If we could get 1,500 or 2,000 would be a lot. I don't think we need to shut down the entire industry. I think being disruptive is one thing, but being destructive is another. The other thing is time. We don't have months and months to figure this out, because people are leaving because they don't have a job. People aren't coming because they're being told that the short-term rentals are not available. So I'm an advocate and proponent of upzoning many of the facilities. It shouldn't be zoned apartment and used for transient vacation rentals. I don't think people can sue you if you upzone, minimizing the litigation hazard to upzone the hotel, and not putting them through the grind. Basically, you're going to use the exact same purpose to the exact same place, but it's a legal use. Many of them will have to upgrade the infrastructure, but if you have time and scheduled and planned, that can be done in a constructive way and not a disruptive way. So I think that we need homes, we need housing, and we can build it. I'd rather use the tax revenue to keep people employed so they could afford a place, and also use the tax revenue so that we can have the infrastructure and actually build the places that do, and have people have new homes and not 30 to 40-year-old kind of beat up homes.
Thank you very much. Question number 2, the entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by the committed property owners there. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support this policy, how will you support it? Start with you, Tom.
Thank you. I do support it. I met with the marine engineer and actually with Joe and a variety of other people and walked and looked at it. Basically, the T-groins and the beach restoration would give approximately 30 to 40 years of extended life to the area. The T-groins will act as a storm surge, still going to have sea level rise, not going to stop that. One of the issues that affecting the beaches and the storefront and the ocean coastline is storm surge. The T-groins would mitigate that. The T-groins would be enhancing the marine environment. Wherever there's rocks, there's more limo, there's more fish. The beaches would basically be public beaches and available. The kids that haven't had beaches for like 3 generations, like 30 years, basically would have that there. The landowners would basically be paying for it. The retreat issue is like talking to them, they recognize their buildings aren't going to last forever. If they have 30 more years, they could plan on the decommissioning and of their buildings. So I'm an advocate of this because I think it would be a unique opportunity for us to do this project, work with the state, iron out the details. They were going to do $40 million plus $20 million for the repair and maintenance. So the repair and maintenance would not be a burden on the community. It is problematic between DLNR and the County of Maui and the transition and of that. So, but I look at it as an opportunity for the county and the state to be able to negotiate and work out collaborative agreements on the coastline, because this isn't the only place this is going to occur. But I thought it was a well thought out project, a well designed project, and an opportunity to do something new and that the community as a whole would benefit from.
Thank you, Tom. Kelly, do you want me to repeat the question? Or
No, I think I remember the question. I've actually was involved in helping to create the CFD, the Community Facilities District, and I think it's a great piece of legislation because it allows communities to come to their own solutions. And I did, when I was on the council, meet with your group, Joe, and the engineers who were designing the project. So I think it's a good project. I think the biggest issue is when the county takes it over, which I think is intended to be in about 10 years after it gets built. But when we were first looking at this, it was an $11 million project about 5 or 6 years ago. Now it's a $40 million project, so I'm not sure how that happened. If it does include maintenance, then there shouldn't be an issue with turning it over to the county. But I suspect that once you turn it over to the county, it is going to be the county's maintenance issue. There is a precedent, and when we were presented with this project, that was brought up by the Office of Council Services. There is precedent for the county taking over projects that are in the ocean, and we've done that with some of the piers, like the one in North Kihei around Suda Store, or where Suda Store used to be. So I think this needs to be taken to the public. First of all, we need to know how much we're talking about on an annual basis as far as maintenance once the county does take that over. I have, the T-groin seem to be working on Oahu, and you guys probably looked at that when you came up with this project. So I think we need more information on how long that project, how much maintenance it's taken, it costs for maintaining the Oahu T-groins, and I think the community needs to be, since it is going to, as you say, benefit the entire community, and the entire community of Maui would be paying for it, I think it needs to be a community discussion around budget time so we can decide if that's something that we want to go forward with. But I always support communities coming up with their own solutions, and especially paying for it. I'm just a little bit distressed to see that it's gone from 11 million to 40 million in a period of 5 years. But, so I'm open to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final question. Health, welfare, and safety for the people should be the #1 priority for all people, and wildfire is in everyone's mind 24/7. What plans do you have to address this concern for the people of Maui County, since we just had a wildfire in Molokai just not that long ago? Kelly, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you. You know, I've been a big supporter of having health facilities in West Maui and South Maui, and I've seen, and I personally know people that have had adverse experiences because there is no hospital on the west side, and I have a friend who passed away many years ago because of that, because she couldn't get to the hospital. So I would be in favor of that, and I know that's a state issue, so I won't go too much into that, but I think one of the, as far as health and resilience, we need a climate action plan, and I was stressed that in my last term on the council, there was a climate action, it was called a climate action plan. It was really more of a report. What we really need is an action plan for resilience, for climate mitigation, for disaster preparedness. And action plans have actions in them, they have timelines, they have deadlines, and they have assignments for who's going to do what. That is lacking in our action plan, so that needs to be redone, and I've been an advocate for redoing it. I would have liked to have taken that up, and maybe I will, and if we can get the Climate Action, Resilience, and Environment Committee going again. I was distressed to find that when I left the council a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years now, that committee is no longer, so it doesn't feel like anybody's addressing climate issues, and we know that more disasters are coming. So we have to be prepared. We have to start looking at the reports at least, and the recommendations, and putting those into action with benchmark and timelines and who's responsible for what. So that's kind of going forward. We have to look at mitigation, but we also have to have disaster preparedness and be ready to respond. And there's some things because I'm working closely with the Red Cross right now, we're working on putting together a regional summit for resilience to try to identify what resources we have right now and what's missing from the Pacific region. One of those being generators, because we should know where all the generators on the island are. But there's other things, you know, there's also the responders and how the responders are going to get where. And so, you know, your bypass is a perfect example of that. We need access. We need roads to have access. For South Maui, it's a north-south collector road. So there's a lot of infrastructure issues that are going to go into preparedness and safety and well-being. I think my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom? Repeat that question.
You want to repeat the question?
I'll repeat the question. Health, welfare, and safety for the people should be the #1 priority for all people, and the wildfires are in everyone's mind 24/7. What plans do you have to address this concern for the people and the people of Maui County, including Molokai? They just had a wildfire too.
Thanks for the question. It's an issue that has been it's super chronic around any of the community towns like Paia and Makawao, that they don't suffer the same fate as Lahaina. We have broad open spaces. I think this part of the solution is utilizing our R1 water and mitigating our flood control to get water so that we can improve our pasture lands and fire breaks, and in general, a combination of improving our agricultural uses as well will help with our fire breaks. And then our fire department, we need more fire departments, and I commend you for what you're doing. And the fire department's doing a great job, but our community has grown quite a bit, so I'm a strong advocate of more fire departments. They don't all have to be big ones. Water wagons is something that could be put in each district so that they have the ability to go in the pastures and odd areas to do that. So there's some, I think it's sort of like functional nuts and bolts kind of stuff that we can do to facilitate the fire department to be able to give them the tools to fight the fires where they have, and also try and control the growth, the brush and growth. Department of Transportation for both state and county have done a really good job about cleaning up on the side of the road and taking responsibility for some of the fire hazards that were part of the problem before. So the biggest issue is all of us as citizens being fire smart, keeping our yards clean, being good neighbors, not throwing your rubbish across the fence and when you clean the yard. I mean, really simple stuff. It sounds silly, but it's a very real deal. And so I think it's a community effort that's going to be ongoing, and it's up to us. Most of the fires are started by people, fortunately not by arson, but by accidents. So we work together.
Thank you so much. Give them both a big round of applause. Thank you so much for your time. That's all. You're off the hot seats now. Thank you. Kahalui, you have Tasha Kama and Carol Lee Kamikona. There you are. Oh, hi, Tasha. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Tasha and Carol Lee. Carol Lee, I haven't had a chance to meet you before. Welcome. Thank you for coming. And I just love how Hawaiians communicate. People, you know, it's such a spiritual place, and when you got that connection, it's just, it gets me chickens again all the time. It's beautiful. Please explain. I'm going to go, Carol Lee, you're going to go first. You got to press and see a green light? Press and hold it. Press and hold until you see a green light.
It's off until you read the question to them.
Okay.
You hear me?
I'm sorry. He was waiting.
you hear me?
He was
Can you
waiting
hear
for
me
me
okay?
to ask the question. All right.
No. I'm just wanting to make sure you can hear me because I couldn't hear myself.
Okay.
I just wanted to, quiet, Zeke.
Number one.
I just wanted
Carol
to say
Lee.
thank you, Joe, for having us.
Thank you. Carol Lee, please explain your position of the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating short-term rentals.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Joe. Okay, so as written, the mayor's proposal, no, I am not in 100% support. What I am in support of is the A1, A2 districts, residential districts, in which non-conforming short-term rentals are located. Yes, I agree with that being converted to long-term housing, okay? I do believe that this proposal needs more vetting. So I know when we shift from short-term to long-term housing, we are definitely going to see a huge reduction in our tax collection. But with a budget of over $1.7 billion, there's room for realignment. Taxes can be restructured for vacant homes, non-owner occupied homes, just to name a few. But also, I'm going to tell you that today, I am announcing I have changed my platform and my stance on short-term rentals. Reason being, I have listened to the community. I have listened to the residents that say, what about us? What about us who live here that have short-term rentals How is that going to affect us? So my proposal real quick, because I only have 30 minutes left, or 30 seconds, sorry. My proposal real quick, you have to be a resident of Maui County. Definition of resident, you be a long-term resident 275 out of 365 days a year for minimum 3 years. Then you'll be able to own 2, no more than 2, short-term rentals to help offset your retirement and your income. So that's my proposal. So thank you.
Thank you. Tasha, would you want me to repeat the question? Or
Please?
the question again is, please explain your position of the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating the short-term rentals.
So I was the proposal of a study to be done, because when the mayor made that announcement, and it shocked me, but it also sent shockwaves throughout the SDR community, that people were flooding the council members' emails for and against and for, and they were citing data that they had, and they were citing the loss of our economy. They were citing so many things. And in reading all of that, I realized that I don't know enough about what happened, because a lot of this happened before we were here on the council. And I wanted to make sure, and I always want to make sure, that I have all the information available to me so I can really make an informed decision. So my idea to do a study was because I want to make sure that we address the real issues. Mayor wants to be able to make sure that we can have housing. But if we don't know the type of housing units that are available to our people, we need to know that, and that was one of the scope of services that we have within that particular RFP. So the RFP did go out. We expect it to come back with whoever's going to bid for it. We also expect the study to be done sometime by the end of the year, and the production of that report should come out early next year. I am very happy to tell you that I'm never ever going to be on the fence about things, but I cannot make decisions unless I am well informed, because the impact of everyone in our county is going to take a hit. I don't want to be able to harm any one of our people. I always want to look for win-win situations and solutions. But I also agree with many of the people that were up here, our candidates, that we have to work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Tasha, you can start off on the second question here. The entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy, which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by committed property owners there. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support this policy, how will you support it?
I support the policy because one of the discussions that I had early on was, who's going to pay for this? We always got to come back to that, right? Some of the ways that the county pays for things like infrastructure is that we bond them. But the fact that the condo owners were willing to be able to participate in the payment and the cost of this says things to me, that they know that they're in trouble, and they know that they can't and probably will not be able to buy their way out of it, but they come to the county and say, can you all help? These are our citizens. Some of them may not live here, but nonetheless, their condos are falling into the ocean. Do we allow that to happen, or do we try to mitigate those things? So, you know, everybody who lives here in Maui considers Maui their home. They love this place, and they will do anything that they can to be able to make sure that there's always going to be something for the next generations to come. That is my feeling about helping people to be able to mitigate the issues that we are contemplating, but not just with the beach restoration, not just with housing, but with water, wastewater, infrastructure, the whole gamut. And yes, we're having a budget meeting hearing coming up with the mayor, and people should go and talk to him about whatever their priorities or their concerns might be. But the most important thing is the money that we took in to do a lot of the things we did this year for Lahaina. We're not going to have that kind of money. And yes, we can raise taxes all that we want, but we don't want to raise taxes just because. We have to have a good reason. We have to justify that, because nobody likes paying taxes. If it's warranted and it's justified, yes. But at this stage, I don't want to be able to do anything that's going to cause any more harm to our community than already has been done. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Lee, do you want me to repeat the question, or do you understand the question? Want me to repeat it, or do you understand?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. So I believe in managed retreat. I believe in beach restoration. And I also believe in a shoreline buffer with open space and park for our citizens and our residents. My understanding is there's two different ways in which the CFD, Community Facilities District, is determined. One is that the county take complete ownership regarding maintenance and whatever else needs to come with that. I will say 100% I am against the county taking any kind of kuleana to this. Reason being, whatever the county does, whatever happens with the county, it'll eventually come to whom? It'll eventually come to you and to me as taxpayers. Yes? The county's not going to pay for it on its own. It's going to come from us. So I would be against the county taking management of it. I do agree with the community, with the condo owners, with the property owners. If they are 100% in agreement that they will take it over, more power to them. Let them take it over, because they know what they want in their community, and they will malama it. With regards to what I have heard about tea groins, I'm sorry. That is not something that has to be done or needs to be done. And the reason being with that, you affect the flow of nature and of our vai. By doing that in any specific location, you affect downstream our lavaia, our cultural practitioners who look for the ia and the limu. If it grows in a certain area, it needs to stay there, and the only way it can stay there is if the water flows naturally. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Carol Lee, we can start you off with this question. Knowing that the permitting process contributes to the extreme cost of attainable housing, what ideas do you have to perform this process? Please provide us with the ideas that help lower the cost of attainable housing, and how do you plan to make this into a law?
Is that you, Rick? I see you written all over that question. Sorry, everybody. Inside joke. So, attainable housing, how do we go about attaining it? I'm totally blank. Sorry. Auntie, you go. Go ahead, Auntie. I drew blank.
Let me repeat the question. Knowing that the permitting process contributes to the extreme cost of attainable housing, what ideas do you have to reform this process?
I got it.
Please provide us with ideas that help lower the cost of attainable housing, and how do you plan to make this into a law?
Thank you for that question. I chair the Housing Land Use Committee of the Council. So I'm responsible for the housing issues and the land use issues that come across our committee. Although I chair it, there are 9 other members on this committee that actually make those decisions. So before I even bring topics to our committee meetings, I meet with the Department of Planning, the Department of Housing, and maybe sometimes other departments that are going to impact the housing issue. We recently just hired a new housing director because of the bifurcation of the housing and human services. October 9th of the next HAU meeting is October 9th, 9 o'clock. I want to invite you all to come to hear the plan that the planning department has to address those issues, what the housing department has in terms of what their plans are to be able to bring more housing, to lower the cost of housing, and how we, as a council, can work with the administration and to work with our community to be able to make this happen. Things are going to be a lot more different now than they were before because our new housing director has such a wonderful plan of action that he's going to be able to speak to us about. So I'd like to invite all of you to tune in October 9th, 9 a.m. to the Housing and Land Use Committee meeting. And for me, then you're going to find out that the biggest barriers to housing is sometimes government regulations, and we're going to be able to address those two things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please repeat.
Repeat, okay. Knowing that the permitting process contributes to the extreme cost of attainable housing, what ideas do you have to reform this process? Please provide us with ideas that will help lower the cost of attainable housing, and how do you plan to make this into a law?
Still your fault, Rick. I'm going to, Kalamai people, I'm going to claim kupuna, sign on that. Okay, so with regards to permitting process, my understanding is there's a lot of departments, a lot of people that need to look at any project once it goes through the planning department and the planning commission. What I would like to propose is that each head, whoever is in authority of the department, that they all come together in an open public meeting with the project manager, with the developer, so that the plans are discussed openly in front of the community, so that the community has time to provide input. Community input is important. It needs to be provided. Developers need to know what the community has to say. A lot of projects that go through, a lot of developers that send projects through the planning department, the reasons why they come back or it takes forever for them to come to fruition is because community has not a say-so. In other words, they're going to run against cultural practitioners like me who want to protect our historical and cultural sites. And when a developer makes their project, does the layout for it, sometimes it goes over anomalies that could be our iwi kupuna. I am against any desecration of our iwi kupuna. So why not utilize what our county archaeologist has, which is called an overlay map. It gives what the anomalies, or not what, but specifically where the anomalies are. It doesn't tell you what the anomalies are. It just tells you that there is one there. Utilize that before your project plans are drawn up. Then when you see those anomalies, you work around it to make your project plans so that when it comes to the community doesn't object and have to file contested case hearings, which then delay the developer's projects. Thank you. Again, kupuna moment. Kalamai. Mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Both of you, Tasha, Carolee. Thank you so much. Have a seat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Wailuku, Alice Lee, and James Forrest. James Forrest and Alice Lee. Awesome, right here, Pierre. Hi, Alice, how you doing? Okay, awesome. Well, here we go. Alice, we're going to start you off first. Please explain your position of the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating short-term rentals.
I think by the way, good evening, everyone. Aloha, and thank you for having us here. I think a lot of the previous speakers covered the major points. And my position is, I believe that the mayor put the cart before the horse, that he should have done the study that we commissioned recently, because the county council does want to get all the facts, understand all the impacts before we make a decision as serious and long-lasting as this one. It's going to affect people's lives, both sides of the issue. But one of our major responsibilities is for us, the council, to be able to pay for the services that all of you need. And that means ensuring that we have sufficient tax revenues and other types of revenues to cover our expenses. And so if we just went along with the mayor's proposal without checking into it or discussing it further, we would lose real property taxes, we would lose GET taxes, and we would lose TAT taxes, which could well be over $100 million. So these kinds of issues need to be vetted. We need to have a solid rationale for making a decision of this importance. So at this point, I'm saying I have not made a decision because the council has not made a decision, and we probably won't do it until we receive and read that study, which will probably be around December or January. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Forrest, you want me to repeat the question, or did you got it?
You can repeat it, please.
Okay. Please explain your position of the recently proposed bill introduced by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating the short-term rentals.
Okay, thank you. This is James Forrest. I am running for Maui County Council Wailuku seat. I have 20 years experience as an attorney. I think my experience will play a vital role in issues like this. First of all, avoiding the issues, and then whenever we are faced with tough choices to make that might have legal consequences, it will be valuable to have an attorney actually on the council that can provide wise advice for how to proceed with these issues. I support the idea of the mayor's bill. It obviously needs to have some changes to it. I think that the county's power to tax properties should be utilized to create a tax structure that incentivizes local ownerships of the short-term rentals. That's the major issue when you look to people that have problems with this, is that 85% of the Minatoya list is owned by people who don't live here. And what that does is create an economy where the money leaves the island. So we don't have a circular economy. So the issue isn't necessarily with the short-term rentals, it's the loss of the income related to that. Now, one answer that I think you guys haven't heard, we need to go back to the origin of the problem. The origin of the problem is 1989, and that was long ago. My opponent, Alice Lee, was a council member at that time. She voted for two ordinances. That was Bill 43 and Bill 58. That created the Minatoya list. That decision is why we're here today. That's the difference between me and my opponent. I won't create these problems to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question. 2, the entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy, which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by committed property owners there. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support this policy, how will you support it? Alice, you're going to start first.
On the Conaby. But first of all, I have to make a disclaimer. Anything he says about me, just disregard. Okay, now getting down to business, because this is why we're here. You're interested in our positions, and that's what you're going to hear from me. I'm not going to talk about anybody else's position, only mine. Now, the CFD is primarily a funding mechanism. People, if they need an infrastructure improvement in their neighborhood, let's say, take that for example, they would apply for a community facilities district bond. What would happen is if the council approves it, we would be responsible in terms of putting the full faith and credit of the county behind that expenditure. But we would also put a lien on their property in case they don't pay. The problem with this situation is it's a little questionable about how long that tea growing is going to last. That's the issue that I have in particular. When we discussed this several years ago, it seemed that it had a potential, a good potential. But now there may be other opportunities for managed retreat. And that's something that we need to look at seriously. And we do have a fund. We have a revolving fund for managed retreat projects. And I know that the Kahana folks have diligently raised millions of dollars for their project. So I can't help but wonder if we can't come back to the table and find an alternate solution. Thank you.
Thank you. James, you want me to repeat the question? You got it.
Got it. Thank you. So definitely, you don't have to trust me whenever I say something about my opponent. Please look it up. Look up Bill 43 and Bill 58 from 1989. Those are the bills that created the Minatoya list. Alice Lee voted for them in her first term. That's a fact. Now, for the Kanabay, the project, my answer is probably interesting and probably surprising to most of you, but I would support it with an asterisk, and the asterisk would be that if you would let Lance Collins and I write the agreement, and if you would let Earth Justice do the environmental assessment for that, that would give me and a lot of the community assurance that the county would not end up with the bill in the end. If this mechanism could be used, and I think it's probably going to be used in the future, and if the community is the one that's footing the bill for it's a local need that's going to be sourced by the local income from those properties, and I think it's a creative idea, and what really needs to happen is that the contract behind the agreement needs to be solid so that the taxpayers don't have to end up with the bill in the very end. And that's why I would, surprisingly, most people think I would not support that because I am an environmentalist, but I think that there are ways to do it. Now, one of the problems with that area in particular is that poor land use in this part of the island resulted to the problems in the first place. You had pesticides being used on the plantation, on the pineapple plantations. That pesticide use killed all the local plants and created erosion, and it created the problems that you have where the bay cannot hold its natural sand and its natural structure. So creating, you need to treat the symptoms rather than your problem is more of land management use and quit using pesticides to destroy the natural course and the natural protection from the bay in the first place.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, number 3. Alice, we'll start with you. Water is a very big issue in rebuilding Lahaina. Please provide us solutions to this challenge so we can move forward with more housing, not only in Lahaina, but throughout Maui County.
So if I wasn't running for council, I would like to be your water director, because I honestly believe that we can solve the problem in West Maui. And some of us have been fighting for it on your behalf. One of the major things I've been fighting for is permanent housing. And that's why I don't put a lot of effort into the STRs, because that's only a temporary solution. I mean, most of those units are, practically reaching obsolescence. I think people in West Maui deserve new homes, but permanent homes, and that the water department is not fighting hard enough. I've had to contact the governor, the lieutenant governor, the DLNR chair, various people in the state legislature, along with community folks, to fight for permanent water. This idea of interim housing is ridiculous. We need to go straight for permanent housing, and that will save everyone so much more money. The FEMA has had wonderful intentions, but it has thrown our economy totally out of kilter. Thank you.
Thank God. Mr. Forrest, you want me to repeat the question? You got it?
Can you repeat it one time?
Sure. Water is a very big issue in rebuilding Lahaina. Please provide us solutions to this challenge so we can move forward with more housing, not only in Lahaina, but throughout Maui County.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, water has been misallocated for generations. I think we all know that, starting back with the plantation era and whenever large farms started taking our water from the small farms. It's created a system of monocropping that destroyed our land. It created systems that we live under now. Wildfires are rampant. What I would plan on doing is drastically reducing water use by our biggest wasters, which are the hotels, also raising their water rates. That would free up water that could be used for our affordable housing. Again, water, like ponds, like fountains, green lawns on these hotel lands, that all needs to go. There's a time and a place for that, and it's not now. And we've been suffering for a long time because of this. The priority of providing water to our luxury developers is the main problem. And whenever you see the project that's been developed and proposed by LEDCOR on the Lahaina side, you understand what the issues are here, is that we have large developers that are planning these projects that have, they're basically building homes for vacationers. And that isn't going to stop unless we get new leadership. It isn't going to stop unless our leaders stop taking money from these developers. And it's been going on, and it's all for you to see in their campaign finance reports. There are some new batches of finance reports that are coming out tomorrow. They're going to be posted on my website. That's just for you to educate yourself as a voter. You can make up your own decision on who's funding these campaigns and who do you want to lead your county into the future.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. Okay, let's see now. I guess that was the number 3. So thank you so much, Alice and James. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yep. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Those of you, what do you think of the food we've had so far? You like that food? My administrative assistant, one of them, Vanessa Pacheco's back there, her and her husband have that El Blue taco truck at Olawalo. It's fantastic food. What do you think? And I think there's more there, so, don't be bashful. Get some more. Thank you. We've got Lauren Aquintas here. Hi, Lauren.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing? And I just got a message today for that Tamara wasn't coming, so I'm sorry that she didn't respond sooner. But anyway, she's not going to be here. So, Lauren, you have, am I saying it correctly? Lorian?
Lorian, correct.
Lorian.
Lorian, yes.
Lorian. So, thank you. Lorian, you got the whole show here. Number 1, Please explain your position on the recently proposed bill by Mayor Richard Bisson eliminating the short-term rentals.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Aloha. I don't believe in this bill right now. I'm just a local boy. I remember years ago when there's commercials on the radio, media, with local families saying, let's get these Airbnbs, let's do this. I didn't vote for those back then. I'm not for it now, but I remember also 3 times I had to move out from my neighborhood in a home because of a transition from long-term to short-term. My lease was up, and they said, hey, guy, it's time to go. 3 times. And that was local families. 2 local families lived here on Maui, 1 in Oahu. So I understand what it's like. I can relate to that. But also, too, I did just look at the statistics that came out. In 1 year, Maui, we're going to lose. 1 year now, Maui going to lose if this bill passes right now. $91.8 million. So who's got a solution for that right now? I don't know. We could go on and talk about the loss of jobs, but is that adding to housing? Is there an incentive for me to move, that I had my house in Lahaina Luna, Mill Camp, to move from my 4-bedroom to a 1 parking stall, rule-regulated place with, can I have animals? I cannot do that. What this bill states for me, what I see in this bill, is it says that you can rent with 180 days or less. It creates hope for housing, but not actual housing. As a councilman, I cannot base my decision-making, policy-making decisions on hope. I need true, attainable housing and true policies. Mahalo. Love you guys. Love you, God.
Thank you. Number 2, the entire county of Maui can benefit from a $40 million beach restoration of Kahana Bay by adopting a community facilities district policy which will permit beach restoration and be paid solely by committed property owners there. Please let us know if you support this policy. If you do not support this policy, why? And if you support this policy, how will you support it?
Hello again. I 100% support community facility districts. I do. This is also a new item for me. I don't know everything. I cannot be here to give false promises and all these hopes and tell you I can do everything. But I would work with our administration as a West Maui County rep to get a community facility district in place and support that so we can get our public beach restored. This is a great collaboration of public and private entities. So I do support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 3, as we continue to discuss diversifying our economy, our visitor industry and small businesses continue to suffer from COVID and now the wildfires. Front Street provides employment for hundreds of people, or it did for hundreds of people, and millions of dollars of Maui's in the state's economy. What are your plans to support the small businesses that were on Front Street so they can rebuild much sooner than later?
That was like a long question. Okay, I might have to ask that again, but diversifying, right?
Yep.
One of those. No, I got diversifying. So I have 3 ideas to diversify. One would be hemp, and that is because I think that an innovative industry for building hemp would be a great idea. We could not only just grow hemp over here, but we could also produce it and manufacture it. Manufacturing is going to create jobs, is going to create money. One time we had a balance of tourism and sugar, cane fields. Now we just have a decline in tourism. So I think by adding this hemp, we could actually build homes. Currently, we are buying from Kansas hemp to build here on Maui. And in Kula, there's a 3-bedroom that is built straight up of hemp. Now, the 3 components to build this, the hempcrete is water, the hemp chips, and lime. It's also fireproof as well. So that is one reason. Also, there are some issues about transmission of water in the land, private land things. Another one would be film industry, working with our state reps to get incentives to make it feasible, and cottage industries. 1 minute, and then businesses in Lahaina to get them back and rolling. Well,
Trying to help front the businesses that are no longer.
I did attend the Grassroots Institute with Kaylee Ikina and Joe Kent, and that was amazing. I did see the statistics and what it is to build and be back on a commercial building aspect. It's basically not happening. There are so many things. There's like 5 or 6 things prior to even getting your permit. So it's going to be a difficult one, but Kauai did drop some things and make it easier. So I think by re-looking at it, revamping it, and making it easier instead of giving up. Because what about the guys that were renting? What about those guys? Are they going to be able to run a business again on Front Street? And the owners? What's going to happen about that? All these things are happening. Cultural assessments, the seawall, all these things are happening and not making it be able to happen. So I don't have a 100% answer, but it's going to be a tough one, and I support everything I can to be in there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, you're off the hook here now, Laura. And yeah, that's all you needed to do. And then we're going to thank you so much for the 3 questions you had here. Thanks again, mahalo. Now we're going to do a baton pass here to Rick Nava. Hi, Ellie. Rick, where you at? There you are. Our executive director, and Rick Nava, is going to take on the state issues. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, President Joe. I guess we're all good in time. We're at 1 hour ahead, so half an hour on the 2 of you. Yes. Okay. All right. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. As we all know, sometimes we here on Maui feel like we are run by the state of Oahu. So having said that, and we've been talking about the bypass for the longest time. The bypass saved my family's life and many other people. The bypass, and the people of West Maui want the bypass extended north. Are you in support of the bypass being extended? If not, why? If you're in support of the extension, how do you plan to help make this a reality for the people of Maui? Representative Cochran, please.
Aloha. And thank you, Rick, and thanks for having us. And I just want to say, good job there, Lorian, my nephew, Lorian, awesome. Thanks for showing up and sharing yourself with the people. So, yes, Rick, 100%, billion% support the extension of the northern bypass. It's been my #1 CIP recommendation. CIP is capital improvement project with the state, and every year it's been shot down. And I know for a fact that lives would have been saved should we have this bypass built out. It's been in the making for decades. It was taken off the Maui transportation plan on the MPO, the Maui Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I don't know why, but it's so through efforts of the community, my office, and people like former Councilmember Joanne Johnson, Weiner, and others, we were able to put the project back on the Maui TIP, Transportation Improvement Plan, which now will go to the State Transportation Improvement Plan, which is the STIP. Then from there, Congress will be able to put money towards the project, which I already have spoken to Congressman Schatz and Congresswoman Tokuda, and they are in support. But unless it's put on the STIP, they cannot entertain a single penny going to the project. And who has been holding this back? And I don't know why, and I would like a direct answer because I've sent multiple letters to this person's office, the Director of Transportation, Ed Sniffen. I have videos out discussing this, and I still have not gotten an answer why he is not in support of it. So if we all can collaboratively come together and share the need and importance for this project to move forward. I mean, think about it. Keawe Street is a nightmare. Almost 1,000 units are going to open up, and they're all going to offload onto Keawe Street. There is no other alternate. It's a right in, right out. So I'm looking into just a simple 2-lane blacktop road to be built. Let's put the bypass on the STIP, but that's going to take a little while. But let's get Goodfellow, whoever, to just build out this road now so we can have people coming out of those 1,000 units. It's going to be scary. So that's, yes, I'm in support.
Mr. Armstrong, do you want me to repeat the question, or? Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, everything she just said. No. You know, the biggest thing that I heard out of this is she's fighting, she's fighting, she's fighting. And while that part is really important, who is she fighting against? Because it's really only on one side, which means stuff isn't getting done. And sometimes we need to have somebody that's going to go in and do checks and balances. Make sure that if we don't agree with something, i.e. the redevelopment of Lahaina the wrong way, making sure it's done the right way, why don't we have a hospital on the west side? The bypass, what are the stalls? Basically, you have one group that's been stalling themselves. And what's interesting is if we have somebody on the other side going, whoa, 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 you guys, this is easily solvable. Let's move forward. It was funny, I heard something about the DLNR and county, and these guys can't seem to communicate. Again, it's been ongoing for years and years and years. What we need is somebody that's going to sit down and say, let's get everybody to the table, let's make sure people can negotiate, and I'm going to be the one that gets that done. The bypass will get done, and we will make sure of it.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. This question is for Representative Cochran. We understand that the process of getting bill introduced and keeping it moving to passage takes significant effort and collaboration. Can you share with us your accomplishments in this past legislative session?
Wait, sorry, what was the about?
Your
reference to
accomplishments,
what?
yeah, this past legislative, since you've been a state rep.
My first run and first session, I was happily able to pass $20 million in a special purpose revenue bond, a SPURB. It's called, strictly to build the West Maui Hospital. So this issue was revived, and I thank the state legislature for supporting this. It's now in the hands of the West Maui Hospital. We have Joanne Johnson Weiner here with the Hospital Improvement Group, a foundation, and now that money, it's not technically cash, but it's like a bond. It's like money used for collateral to get other USDA funds and what have you. So we need the county to support being the guarantor for the $20 million SPURB, which is in Corporation Council currently. And I know Chair Lee is helping to assist move this forward. And from there, monies can be gotten. And because everything is in, the infrastructure is in, and with this money, they can go vertical. So that, I think, is my biggest accomplishment at this time. Now it takes a lot more to put towards the final goal, which is to build out our West Maui Hospital. So I'm continuously but I'm continuously raising this to, the level of awareness to everyone involved, because as you stated earlier, the state of Oahu, or yes, the state legislature is very Oahu-centric. So I have to put a lot of effort out there to tell people the needs of us. Maui County as a whole, Maui Nui, and in particular West Maui House District 14 needs. And that I speak very loudly and proudly about to support all of you.
Thank you. If I could just recommend something, maybe we should use the word advocate, just like we do the West Maui taxpayer, instead of fighting. Thank you. No. Mr. Armstrong, we noticed that on your yard signs, you mentioned election fraud, corruption, and fixing our schools. Can you share with us proof of election fraud and corruption, and how do you ensure that when you're elected, fraud and corruption stop? What plans do you have to improve our schools?
Well, I'm glad. It's slightly biased questions on both sides, but I'm okay with that either way. And the way that you said it was a promotion on one side and not on another, but I'm okay with that as well. Election fraud, I'll give you a little example. We had an election 2 years ago, and at that election, let me make sure I got this right, there was only one place that we could go vote, and I'm just going on a local level. During that one place that the entire island could go vote was in Wailuku. I don't think that that's fair for the people at all. I think that we should all have free access to a place where we can vote. Interestingly, and not by anybody's doing that we know of, there was a fire that day too, which limited anybody from the west side to get all the way over to Wailuku to vote. So for those of us that did want to vote, we couldn't get over there, and if we did, it was a challenge. While we were there, we witnessed several people putting in handfuls of ballots, and I don't think that that's the way that it's supposed to go. I'm pretty sure one voter, one ballot. And again, that's just on a local level. What was the other question you had?
How do you plan to improve our schools?
Schools. The superintendent should not be an appointed official. It should be an elected official. The superintendent needs to be fired, in my opinion. We need to have county officials that are running our education system. They're held accountable locally instead of appointed by the governor. If we did have those people on a local level, I believe that we would have an education system that isn't, what are we, 47th in the nation?
I don't know, you should know that, 'cause you're fixing the school.
We shouldn't have that, and it's been that way for a long time, and it's time for change. My wife's been in the education system. We've raised our 4 kids here in Maui. We've got firsthand knowledge of what needs improvement, and there's a lot of things that need improvement in our education system. You had one third one on there.
Well, time ran out, so.
Okay.
Anyway, the last one, I'd like for one of you to ask a question for each other. So, Representative Cochran, do you have a question for Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah, what have you done for West Maui?
It's a great question. Actually, I know what you haven't done for West Maui. So when the fire happened, Ellie Cochran was nowhere to be found. On that day, we were out unloading 3 boats every single morning, 2 planes at night. We worked tirelessly. I did TV interview after TV interview, trying to get the news out to the people because our representative was nowhere to be found. When our representative actually was found, it was because she was embezzling money from the tell me, were you not removed from it?
Excuse me. No. Let's not go there.
You asked the question.
Okay.
Point being, you asked her to ask a question, and she wanted to know what has been done, right? We have done.
Just answer the question, please.
I'm pretty sure I did answer the question.
Okay, well, okay, can you go ahead and ask Ellie a question?
Yeah, I already made the point.
I think he asked me if I embezzled money.
Yeah, that's the question.
About
I guess.
money?
Yes.
About embezzling, and I was nowhere to be found. I was to be found. I came in 2 days, the day after the fire, with the convoy, with Trilogy Boat Excursions, and with Maui Brewing Company. We delivered stuff. We came in and we did it. Then my subdivision, 944 Kanakea Loop, I realized nobody came for this subdivision. 99 homes are still intact, my home, amongst my other neighbors. And we needed supplies, but the word on the street was nothing survived below the bypass. I live below the bypass, we survived. And no one came, so I was running around asking all my neighbors, what do you need? Uncle needed 5 heart meds. We had 2 infant babies who needed formula and diapers. We had a 9-year-old kupuna. We had 3 hospice patients. People in my subdivision needed help. I got out and I brought back supplies for everybody. Joanne was there with me. Kalei Jaramillo was there with me. Judy, a lot of us together pulled together. Bill, and we were there. Everyone was doing their part, and I appreciate what was done out in Napili, in Kahana, in Leali'i, these areas, but I was in Lahaina in the heart of it. And so that's where I was, and embezzling money, that is totally just absurd that something like that would even, anybody would entertain that idea of me doing that. One, I don't even take campaign donations, practically. I don't, it's not about money ever. And when people came to hand me cash, I said, please, no cash. Go back and turn that cash into a gift card, into something practical, like at Home Depot for house supplies. People want to fix fencing and roofing and whatever. I told them to go get gas cards, things, groceries, things for Safeway, wherever, things that were practical. And I mean, we had a beautiful hub, and unfortunately, it was hostilely taken down by people who are claiming these false things that are out there. But we know from our heart and soul what we did for so many people. People came to us who were treated just wrongfully, discriminated. People who were Mexican descent, saying they were turned away from hubs, saying because you're not Filipino, you're not, or they're haole, white color. They're like, you don't belong here, go back where you came from. These things, and we're taking care of these people. And so,
okay, I believe your time.
Do I have, oh, okay. And
there's your time, and I'm the sergeant at arms, so.
Rick?
Whoa, it's over. It's over. Mr. It's over. At this time, I'd like to ask Senator McKelvey and Michelle. You guys could just. No. Okay, do you guys know which chair? Okay. Oh, do you have your name? Okay, I got it. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you, Senator McKelvey. All right, let's go right into the question, even though we're ahead of time, but let's move forward here. First question, I'd like for Ms. Walker to respond. How do you plan to help Maui County diversify its economy?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm absolutely disappointed that this room isn't filled with concerned citizens tonight. All right, this is a disgrace that more people aren't participating in our public elections. All right, this is a prime opportunity for us to step up and learn about who you're going to vote for. And the fact that no one is here tonight besides the people who are supporting the candidates, which I bless you, thank you for showing up. And those of you who are concerned, thank you. But literally, we need hundreds of people, especially in this situation from Lahaina right now, right here. And why they're not here, I don't know. You tell me. But someone has failed us, and maybe it's this organization, maybe it's our community, I don't know, but I'm saddened. Okay, well, you can say that if you want, but I'm saddened that more of our community members are not here. And what you're asking me is how can we improve our economy? And already we've both gone over. Senator McKelvey and I, he's given you plenty of the opportunities to improve our economy. I have too. We both talk about the same thing. But right here, right now, we need to abolish the Jones Act. If we don't get rid of this type of Jones Act that was established in 1920, and if you're not familiar with the Jones Act, that is the shipping that brings all of our goods here to this island, which requires our ships to be built and crewed by American companies. It's an insane process that we need to abolish right now, because every single family has been proven by proven by the studies to show that every single family spends over $2,000 a year on goods imported here because of the Jones Act. And that needs to be abolished right now in order to lessen our economic burden on the islands. So that is the number one reason, or the number one thing that we could abolish that would help our economy right here, right now.
Senator McKelvey.
Thank you so much. To focus in on the state level and what we can do at the state level, we have to recognize something that tourism is, while we diversify, the biggest economic engine that we have. But we need to pivot to regenerative tourism. Tourism whereby quality of spending is the metric and not the amount of numbers we're bringing in. Trying to oversaturate. We did a carrying capacity study before for McKenna Beach Park, which should be extended to see how much is too much. In the meantime, we should go ahead and invest, as our good friend Lolo said earlier, in agriculture. Hemp production is something that can be done here. Housing is being built. Why aren't we producing it? Renewable energy projects, particularly those cited in West Maui using federal grants, can provide job diversification. And finally, also working to strengthen our credit programs, like our movie credit program, and looking at an infrastructure credit to try to build a studio here in West Maui. However, the thing with this tax credit programs is government is trying to pick winners. And I think this session, we need to look at broad-based relief for businesses across the board, no matter what they do. If we do that, then all businesses, the businesses that will fit best, economic engines and industries will emerge naturally because of the ingenuity, sense of location, everything else. So while these credit programs are important for diversification, renewable energy, et cetera, we need broad-based support regardless of industry, so government isn't picking the winners will emerge themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. I think part of my next question is probably answered it already, but I'll go ahead and ask again. As we continue to rebuild Lahaina, please provide us ideas that will help small businesses reestablish their business. As we all know, the small businesses is the basically the lifeline of the company, the Mountie. And Front Street, people are crying out for help, and they feel like they're being ignored. So could you tell us, any plans on what you could do to help the small businesses here in Lahaina or Maui County? Yes, thank you.
For all of this. Well, the businesses in Front Street, their challenges are in rebuilding, which is with the County of Maui. But what we need to do, and I've introduced a bill last year, is to build upon what was working. The MEO Bridge program was actually getting money to businesses, but it was so manini, it wasn't helping. The other thing we can do at the state level through resolution, which is encouraging the counties, is to provide flexibility to businesses so they can have, for instance, signage has been a challenge for them, to let people know that they're reopened. And also, finally, we need to look at the insurance issue, which my colleague friend here have I talked about numerous times, because businesses are drowning under these insurance rates. So some of the ideas we put forward, like looking at the national level for reinsurance, also looking at bringing back the insurance stabilization bill, and also trying to institute programs for businesses where they can harden and rehabilitate so their insurance rates go down. But hopefully we can get these things through, but bringing back the funding for these programs that were done before is a way to get money in their hands. But really, at the end of the day, it takes the fact that our businesses are dying and they need immediate help, and we just got to swing at the fences every way possible with the county and the feds. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walker?
Absolutely, thank you very much. And as you can tell, I'm coming in hot tonight because I'm tired of the rhetoric. I'm tired of no action. And what we need now is action. And bills like the Lele bill, the 3381, is not going to resolve our problems here. We need real actionable bills that will make a difference. And that means giving the small business, which is the backbone of our society, a leg up. They need what California just did to give the illegal not aliens, all right, I'm not going to call anyone an alien, illegal immigrants, the no interest, no down payment kind of property loans to build houses. That our businesses here need that kind of opportunity. We need no interest, no down payment loans, no repayment plan. We need angel investors to come in and help our business get back on track. So we need those types of investors who will help us get back. How many of you know someone who loves Lahaina? How many of you know someone who's vacationed in Lahaina and says, I had the best time of my life here? How many of you know someone from the mainland that loves this place? Every single person on the mainland needs to be contributing right here, right now to our community and help us rebuild. Those are the angel investors. Those are the people that need to help us rebuild. And those those are the people we can rely on, along with other people to help us create creative opportunities to help these businesses get back on track and back up and running, because our small businesses are the backbone of our community, and if we don't support them, we are dead in the water.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, do you have a question for Senator McKelvey? Your chance to ask him. And Senator McKelvey is all smile there.
All right, you're bringing it on.
That's what you hear all about.
Why do you want to stay in office 4 more years?
Why? Because this community, which I was born and raised in, is worth fucking fighting for. That's why. Pardon my French, everybody. That's why. I want to go back to continue the work. We apologize for that. I'm getting emotional here, too. Because why? Because I've seen this town that I was born and raised in. We were losing it before this fire. Now we've completely lost it. I want to go back to build on the $380 million we got for the temporary housing. I want to go back to create more funding for the maintenance and infrastructure. I want to go back to tackle this insurance problem that is killing us across the board. I want to go back to fight for the bypass using P3 and other mechanisms of funding. And I want to go back to institute a water ahupuaha plan that actually does more than manage water. It creates a detailed blueprint on water restoration. There can be no moku'ula. There can be no housing without water. So that's why I'd like to go back. And you know what? This is not a career. This is a calling. I will fight until the community says it's time to hang it up, and in which case I will hang it up and gratefully embrace that next generation of Lahaina leadership, which is ready to step up and lead us into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McKelvey. Senator McKelvey, do you have a question for Ms. Walker?
Yeah. We've been talking insurance for quite some time. This is going to be the biggest issue. We can't talk housing, can't talk any of this stuff for insurance. So what ideas do you have that we can advance at the state level to tackle this insurance problem?
And if you are not aware of this, insurance is the #1 issue right now. I mean, there's housing, there's other things. How many of you have personally experienced your property insurance for housing, whatever it is, if you're a renter, homeowner, gone up? How many? You're 100%, like 400%. Your HOAs, how many of your HOAs have gone up? Hundreds of percent, right? HOAs, personal property insurance, gone up. How many of you, like everyone, we're experiencing it, everybody. Whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a renter, whether you're involved in an HOA, those insurance prices are skyrocketing. And is it because of Lahaina? I don't know, because it's happening all across the state. Is the state paying for the fires in Lahaina? That's insane. And we have a person right now who just got into office to replace the House Speaker of the House. Psyche was just replaced by Kim Coco because she ran on that issue. She ran for Kauai, and she's the House rep now. She ran on this issue of getting those insurance because she knew the condo insurance was out of line. She ran on getting that down, and she will be our front runner. And she's not of my personal party, but I trust that she will bring those insurance companies into reform and make sure that everyone has the proper insurance reform so that no one has to suffer these insane insurance rates. So I will stand behind her and support her. And like I said, even though she's not of my own party, she ran on that issue, and she just was elected into her position. And I trust that she will reform this condo insurance, homeowner insurance, renters insurance. We all have to continue to fight for these issues.
Thank you so much. Okay, I believe we have all the candidates up here now. So unless you're planning to run for next year, we'll ask you to come up here. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, that concludes the evening. Thank you so much. And I believe we have more food. So again, mahalo. Good night.